Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, and show you what's going on our lovely little island of Fawnhollow today. As the Olympics are still underway, I'm sorry, this is going to be basically the conversation topic for the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks, right? I think that's how long the Olympics are. I honestly don't remember. Am I watching them? No, but I probably should be. There's been fencing and archery events already, and badminton doesn't start, I don't think, till a week. But maybe I'll catch highlights. Maybe I'll just watch the finals. I don't know. But well, when I get some time, maybe I'll catch the Olympics, but it's not too big a deal. But if you're watching them, I hope you're having fun with it. I hope it's some good stories going on. Hello everyone, right now in Fawnhollow, it's 3:28 PM on Sunday, July 25th, 2021. Now for today's announcements, must be a visitor staying at the campsite. Who did we have last time? We had someone who I didn't even remember the name of, and I also didn't know the name of. So as always, we're hoping for Apollo, Fauna, Phoebe. The final 3 of my top 10 villages. Top 10 villages of Dear. Okay, I'm not going to do that, obviously. But eventually, they'll come around and it'll be awesome. Ready to rock these pants are awesome. You're going to love them. I know that they scream, Mira, but they also scream, dear. Way, way louder, Mira. Happy Home Academy, get out of here. We don't need you criticising my house anymore, because it is perfect, just the way it is. So, of course, today being Sunday, we don't have much other ways of visitors that we need to do. Deep sea diving, neighbours, sell fruit, customise. Okay, there's a bit of a weird combination, but we can do it. What should we talk about? I don't know. The first thing that came to mind was that the whole thing going on with the girlfriend reviews and the Last of Us Part 2 subreddit or whatever. I'm not going to explain it because it's much better. Just go to Girlfriend Reviews YouTube channel. If you're curious about that sort of thing. I'm not really a drama sort of discusser person, so they explain it a lot better than me. If you want my hot take on it, which is not really a hot take, is I'm on the side of Girlfriend Reviews. They handled it very professionally, I thought, and they were very admirably, and I also like their content. If you don't know what they are, just to sidestep the whole drama angle which is going on with them, which I can't believe how professionally they dealt with it. It's just actually astonishing. But I really like their concept of a YouTube channel. If you don't know, it's Girlfriend Reviews. It's basically, conceptually, the reviewer is... the reviewers, I guess, is a boyfriend who likes to play video games. You are like Antonio? Cyrano. Never mind, you're not Antonio. And a girlfriend who watches her boyfriend play these video games. So the reviews are all from the perspective of what it's like, not to play the video game, but to watch a video game. So it goes, obviously, things like story and cinematic parts and like puzzles which are easily solved by which is much more interactable, get bonus points essentially compared to things which might just be pure mechanics only, which might not be as engaging to watch in the first place. And I'm like, that is such a cool idea. Like, sidestep the fact that it's obviously like quite a comedic channel. It's got like a lot of good writing. They write like a script for it and everything, and it's super fun. I'm like, that is such a good idea for a review, because I'm of the opinion that while there's definitely good things for having like much more generalised reviews like IGN reviews and other GameSpot, are they still a thing? I can't remember. Reviewers like those sort of people, whether they generalised, they're just like, well, general populace will give us like a 7 out of 10 essentially. I think that it was definitely merit. No, don't get me wrong. Don't. I don't want you to think that I'm just like, oh, there's no point in having generalised reviews. No, there's definitely a point, because that's like your sort of best guess of like, will this game be something I appreciate / want to play? And if you go to like a much more general review and you see the game's got 9 out of 10 or something, you'll be like, okay, there's a decent chance I'll like this game, but there's still a chance you don't like this game for plenty of different reasons, because we all have different preferences in games of that sort of things and accessibility options available to us, and things we're looking forward to in a game. So, just take my keyboard there, don't mind me. So I'm of the opinion that there should always be, while we have as generalised reviews, we should have much more specific reviews as well. Reviews who are very specific taste and that sort of thing. Like, I mean, me personally myself, I really highly value puzzle games and story experiences and interesting art styles necessarily over, which allows me to, not allows me to, but it makes me okay with overlooking things like perhaps poor mechanics or things which aren't necessarily the smoothest gameplay patterns or things like that, if they also come with the caveat of the puzzles, the story and stuff, that sort of thing, are appealing enough to me. But other people, they're just like, I love mechanics game, I love gritty mechanics that feel good, that let me show off my mechanical prowess, that sort of thing. I don't give a damn about story. So if a game has literally no story, who cares? It's still good. A game could still be 10 out of 10 for me. And you know, because there's such a whole range of people and opinions of what they like and that sort of thing, which that way is a good thing, and it's how it should be. Everyone's got different opinions of that sort of thing. In my opinion, there should probably be more reviews, not more reviews necessarily, but we should place more emphasis on reviewers who have specific opinions. And you know, we should just, I suppose, not see every reviewer as being like, oh, this is their objective view on what they've done well, if this video game has done things well or not. Okay. Obviously, it's not to say that there's truly broken games that should be given like an objective 3 out of 10. And we should, all reviewers should just be like, oh, if I give this a 10 out of 10, you should not be like, oh, free from criticism, potentially from a very strange review. But I'm talking about people with different preferences and that sort of thing, you know, because I'm certain, like, you know, some people might play Snakebite and be like, oh, it's like a 6 out of 10, you know, it's a pretty cool puzzle game, but, you know, there's not much going on apart from its cutesy art style graphics. There's no really mechanical oomph to it, I suppose. That's not really what I mean to say, but, you know, like, there's no story to it, and it's not gripping necessarily, and if you don't like puzzle games, it's not really for you. And then sometimes it's overly challenging to a point of being frustrating, perhaps. But to someone like me, I'm like, oh, Snakebite, that's like an 8 out of 10 game. It takes this very unique mechanic I've not seen before in a puzzle game, and expands on it and plays around with it multiple times, including many different levels where the puzzle had me thinking for hours on end, like even outside of playing the game, which really challenged me and was a fantastic experience. And you see there already, like, 2 different people are going to have 2 very different opinions on that sort of thing, depending on what they like. So, of course, if we have people with so many different opinions or different games, why don't we encourage more people with different, like, these sort of different reviews, and basically reviewers who review games from these different perspectives. Like, I would love to find a reviewer who absolutely just, like, has similar interest to me, like, loves puzzle games and loves story atmospheric experiences. And that way I can see, oh, what games do they rate 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10? And then from there I can make better decisions, because, you know, some people are just going to be like, God of War, 10 out of 10 game or something fantastic. And while I might certainly appreciate it if I play it, I have a feeling that if I play it, I'm going to be like, you know, this is a great game, but to me it's only an 8 out of 10, because it's sort of it's filled with mechanics of things I'm not particularly interested in. The exploration I liked, but maybe I'll be like, oh, the mobility's too slow to me, while other people will be like, oh, it builds a sense of atmosphere, or be like, or maybe I'll be like, oh, I'm not very or it can be really arbitrary things, being like, oh, I don't really like this like Greek mythology sort of like aesthetic or something like that, while other people will love it. So, you know, it gets minus marks because personally I don't enjoy it as much. And I suppose part of it is just being able to reflect on a review and realise that I'm not coming at it. It's a hypothetical, by the way. I've never played God of War. I have no idea if I'd like it or not. I'm just using it as an example. But it's not like some not conscientious thing, but like some contentious thing where I'm like, oh, I'm attacking God of War, being like, it's a bad game objectively. No, I'm trying to say personally, from my hypothetical point of view, I don't like it. It doesn't appeal to me as much, because the mechanics and things which compose a game are not things which I place high value on in video games or things like that. But, you know, if I find another reviewer who's similar to me, or I guess even if I was a reviewer of that sort of thing, and they reviewed Bad As You and gave it a 10 out of 10, I'd be like, I have to check out Bad As You. And I'd play it, I'd be like, this is a 10 out of 10 for me. But of course, you know, I'm going to use like my friend Ali or something. He doesn't really care that much about puzzle games, but he also doesn't care much for story, I suppose. But he likes mechanical, gritty things, and puzzle games can end up being really frustrating for him, because one, he doesn't play that many of them in the first place, so he's not exposed to all that many of them, and Bad As You is quite difficult. And two, he doesn't really care about them. So if he like runs up against a wall in that sort of video game, rather than being like me, who I'm just like, oh, I have to find out exactly what the solution is, and I'm willing to spend hours on this even outside of the video game, he's just going to be like, yeah, this sucks, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's going to sully the experience for him. And that's what, as I always say, with different opinions, is completely fine. And that's how it should be, shouldn't it? We should have specialised reviews of these different things. It should be easy for people just to go out and be like, oh, you know, like, you know, you'd be like, oh, I wanted to see if this game's any good, and you check out the IGN review, and you're like, it's got a 7 out of 10. It's like, okay, I still don't know if it's going to be the sort of game which appeals to me. Well, if we had like a range of reviews, be like, okay, well, I know what my likes are. I like story-driven adventure exploration games. I like exploring all around the big city and looking through lore and like little tidbits and drops of story and that sort of thing, and spending hours just walking around paths, even if there's no reward at the end except for just the exploration and the atmosphere in itself. And you'd be like, oh, you know, you should check out the review by Tilly Smith or something, I don't know. It's not a person. Oh, she has similar interests to you. She highly values exploration and atmosphere in a game, and doesn't mind if there's long stretches of things which other people, which perhaps more people in the general populace would consider boring or too slow paced. That's kind of thing she thrives for. And be like, oh, okay, let's see what Tilly Smith, is that his name, thought of it, and she gives it like out of 9 and 10. You'd be like, awesome, I'm gonna go pick this up, because if she likes it, I'll probably like it as well. Or if you go to a review and it's like a 5 out of 10, and you'd be like, oh, the exploration, which people talk about, is overhyped and it's really not that great. It's very minimalist and surface level at best. You'd be like, oh, okay, fair enough, and maybe I won't like it as much. But then maybe the IGN review would be like, oh, the exploration is really nice and fully atmospheric. But you know, Tilly, of course, has different measurements for that sort of thing, because she plays a lot of exploration games. She'd be like, oh, you know, she's seen what good exploration feels like, and to her, like, not that like she's been saturated or like her tastes of exploration have been inundated or that sort of thing, but she's got, I suppose, high expectations of that sort of thing, or different expectations necessarily, you know, which don't necessarily apply to the whole general population. So yeah, that's just basically my point. I'm not a reviewer, and nor am I super into like the video game industry or that sort of thing, like on the journalism, I suppose, side of it. But yeah, I feel like this feels like such a good thing to have, just like a load of reviewers. So whenever because I feel like it's such a common thing for when a review gets posted, if it's even slightly contentious against the general population, people will just be like, this person's wrong or something. Not everyone. A vocal minority who'll be like, this person's wrong, or disregards what the person's saying, when really the person's just like, they just have different tastes than you. And I suppose it's a sort of thing where people sort of look at reviews and be like, oh, the only thing a review is a good review is if it's like a objective review for general population, being like what this game objectively does well or poorly, which is really like a reductive way to go about it, I think. You know, you strip out so much of the context and detail and the personalised aspect behind sort of things, because whether you like it or not, every single video game you're going to play is going to be not a personalised experience necessarily to you, but your experiences with it are going to be personal to you, and the experiences that you are desiring and looking for are going to be different from other people in the first place, right? So I hope if you're watching this, I go on about these sort of things all the time, so hopefully you're not the sort of person to hear someone have like a negative review about like The Last of Us 2, for example, which is where this all started with a girlfriend review. Well, actually, girlfriend reviews liked it, but it's actually inverted and the subreddit hates it or something. I can't remember. Hopefully if you see someone who has like a different review to you, you're obviously your immediate reactions and anything should not be death threats or anything like that. That's just obviously so out of like touch with reality, I suppose, is what I'm going to say. Don't send death threats to people. It's so easy. You just don't do it. And I know this is sort of just like a oh no sort of thing, but it's just like, why? It's mind-boggling to me that people just like go out and be like, oh, you know what's a really appropriate reaction? A death threat. Even like in my most emotional, like fueled, angry states or something, I'm just like, I'm not gonna go send a death threat to someone. What? It's honestly outrageous. It's ridiculous the situation girlfriend reviews had to deal with. And also, if you don't know, the whole situation is one of the people from the subreddit like claimed to have gotten death threats from the girlfriend reviews, so some fans of girlfriend reviews, and it turns out that person was fabricating the whole thing and sent the death threats to himself and was like, oh look, it's girlfriend review fans are so toxic or that sort of thing, which is just like, come on, no, don't do that. It's obvious, but don't do that. But yeah, but the whole crux of the issue is like, it'd be so much easier if the people, like, you can hate Last of Us 2, fine. Like, I mean, I talked about Last of Us 2 before. I haven't played the game. I think the general consensus I get from it is mechanically it's really cool, and story wise it's much more like your mileage may vary. A lot of people don't like it and a lot of people do like it, but the consensus I get is quite heavy-handed. I think with like its morals and that sort of thing, which at a point it becomes a drag, and you know it's a sort of game where you play and you don't not necessarily have fun, but you dislike the characters, kind of. But you understand. It's like you understand where we're coming from, but the characters aren't necessarily fun to play as for a lot of people, which is fair. And you can completely hate Last of Us 2 if that's what you want, but you got, for those of you who can't seem to accept that other people have different opinions, I guess you just gotta accept it. Especially because it's just a video game. Like, come on. I suppose, I don't mean to like be so derisively negative about this sort of thing, but like I watched a video and I was just like, I can't believe this even happened in the first place, you know? It just seems so outrageous. It just seems comical, I suppose, is my entire point, and I'm sure it felt comical to them, and also very stress-inducing, so I guess I'm glad I don't have to deal with that sort of thing. But yeah, I suppose the whole point would be like, reviews and like different opinions on video games should facilitate, I suppose, discussion about them, rather than making them like a public war. I feel like too many of these vocal minority people who are instigating these sort of attacks and arguments feel like someone criticizing the game or not loving a game the same way they do is somehow an attack on them, which it obviously isn't, mind you. And I guess there's some other people on the other coin who decided to attack a game, who decided to be like, oh, I dislike this game, so I hate everyone who likes this game is stupid or something, and makes it an attack on them. And it's just like, you know, they're a vocal minority. Most people are pretty rational when it comes to this sort of thing, which is honestly a fantastic thing. You know, most people are very rational, I like to think. Maybe that's a little bit idealistic, but most people are just like, oh, I don't like this game. Oh, you like this game? Oh, you know what, fair enough. I don't like this game because of this, but I can see how you would like this game because of X, Y, Z, but that didn't appeal to me. I thought, you know, maybe it was heavy-handed, or I thought the mechanics ended up being a bit too sloppy and took away from the experience rather than adding to it. And, you know, at the end you just be like, oh, you gain new insights. I'd be like, cool, you know, I'm glad we had this discussion. I feel like a crazy person to sort of like speaking about this in the festival. I forgot what it was. Doghouse and Stone Tablet, that was right. Because that's just like how 90% of people talk to each other, probably. And I shouldn't, especially shouldn't judge like yeah, I don't want to fall into the trap of just like making sweeping generalizations about populations which are unfounded. Like being like, oh, all gamers just can't accept other people's like opinions and different views, or everyone who's got a different opinion to the mass populace has like a grounded and reasonable opinion through that sort of thing, and is not just doing it for like the likes of the angry shares, you know, that sort of thing. But you know, I like to think, I mean, I just kind of assume the best before assuming the worst, I suppose. It's a lot easier that way, you know. So with DLD, I was like, if you like Last of Us 2, cool. If you don't, cool. It's, yeah, I guess that's it. I didn't really have much of a, I don't really have like tying thoughts or big like overarching tying thoughts which neatly links everything together. It's just like, we need, I suppose, we should be encouraging more reviewers of like strictly different opinions, and especially ones which are contrarian to the general populace, to be reviewers. And you know, I guess it's easy for me to be like, oh, just be a reviewer like that, and it'll be completely fine. But I'm sure a lot of people, like, especially this happened right with quite a few times, because I follow some reviewers. I don't follow all their stuff, because I find it difficult. I don't know any reviewers who have similar interests to I do. So if you know people who like that, who like really like atmospheric and story-driven games as well as puzzle games, please tell me about them so I can follow their reviews and see what and find maybe some different niche recommendations from them. But I follow some reviews, like I follow Zero Punctuation. I follow Girlfriend reviews sometimes, and I tend to like the comedic way that they portray the game while also discussing it at the same time, you know. It's a nice little balance I like to have between the things. But I remember Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation, he had like a review about Last of Us 2, and he hated Last of Us 2. Or, I'm not sure if he hated it, but, and how much of it was driven by the fact he wanted to be contrarian, but he very much, you know, put him in the camp of didn't like it. And I thought he had a lot of fair reasons, probably. I can't say I can back them up necessarily, but they seemed reasonable to me, from what I can tell. but maybe I shouldn't really talk about this because I'm not very educated in Last of Us 2. Maybe it's something you'd be like, I haven't played it for myself, so who am I to judge? And you're right, I don't really have a place to judge, but they seem like fair criticisms if they were like actual things which happened in the game. He talked about basically the story being really heavy-handed, or the sort of thing, where characters being very boring, and there's I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been so long since I watched it. But he got a lot of hate for that because, you know, some people like really love it and some people also don't like it as well. And this is, I know Last of Us 2 was a very controversial game when it got released, but yeah, it's like, it shouldn't be so divisive. It should just stoke discussion, fair discussion with everyone, right? I suppose that's me sort of living my dream world, being like, oh, this is easy. Why can't we just count on everyone being a good person? And, you know, 90% of people are, and then it's just like 10% of people are just like, nah, no way. I'm not going to do that. And it's like, come on. We were so close. We were this close to greatness. Yeah, but like girlfriend reviews actually really like Last of Us 2. I don't think I even watched a review yet of Last of Us 2, which maybe I should do. And I think that's fair enough, you know. It seemed like a cool thing, like from cutscenes I saw. I was like, this seems like a fun time, you know, and I can see how maybe you think of a character, well, not maybe how you think, but how the characters could be boring and how they could be interesting, different, you know. I suppose, as in every case of art, half of it is what the developers made and or the creators of it made, and half of it is on your own interpretation of it. Doesn't mean necessarily you can't enjoy a game and then not give it credits, not necessarily give credits to the people who made it, because maybe you enjoyed it because of your own influence and experience of it, rather than necessarily what the creators, because maybe the creators can make a really just terrible trash game, but then you have a fantastic fun time and experience with it, and you would, you know, that's kind of what the point of a game is. But it's not like you give credit to the creators for making a fantastic game. You'd be like, oh, you know, I made my own fun out of it, it turns out. Yeah, yeah, it's just surprising how much hate they got for basically just being like, oh, I like this game. I feel like my reaction to being like, if someone goes, oh, I like this game, to a game I don't like, I'd be like, oh, why is that? Although I suppose that's not even very fair, because there's not many games I dislike. I can't actually think of a game off the top of my head which I dislike. And that's partly is a reason is because if I hear a game is bad or not liked by the general populace, I tend to not buy that game. So I'm just like, oh, you know, oh, everyone hates this game. I guess I'll pass on this one then. You know, that sort of very much skews the games I play in towards, you know, good games or games I will like. And I feel like I have a pretty decent judge of the sort of games I will like and games I won't like. So I tend to not buy or purchase games I don't like. I don't know, maybe I can look at my Steam library and try and find a game I actively didn't like. There's some games I thought were disappointing, but or like neutral, but not many I didn't actually like. Oh, you know what? Among Us is a really good one. I don't like hate Among Us, but I just don't want to play it anymore, I suppose is really the thing. And that's not because Among Us is a bad game objectively, it's just my own personal experience with it, is that I used to like social deduction sort of games when I was younger, but now I'm much more of a cooperative person, and because I don't have much competitiveness in me, it really makes playing Among Us sort of frustrating for a number of reasons. One, it's all completely competitive, essentially. Or not completely competitive, but it's competitive and cooperative, except we don't know who your allies and enemies are, so it's sort of like a weird sort of mix in the middle. And to a huge amount of it requires lying to your friends, and you know, this might sound so very overly basic and strange for me to say, but I don't like lying to my friends, even if it's recreationally. You know, I'm not really sort of about that sort of thing, and because of my lack of competitive drive, if I lie to a friend like as an imposter and you know it goes well, like, you know, I'm sure other people would just like, heck yeah, I pulled off like the greatest deceit, you know, I'm like so big brain, I'm just like, that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to me, I suppose. And you know, I recognise that's very much a personal thing, and most people aren't going to be like that. Most people, if they pull off like some grand deceit sort of thing, we're going to be like, oh, awesome. And you might come from the argument, is it just because you're bad at Among Us you don't like it? No, I actually think I'm pretty decent at social deception games. I feel like I'm quite an insightful person when it comes to how people act, and especially when I'm playing with my friends. I feel like I can catch a lot of my friends out when they're lying and that sort of thing. Do I always report it 100%? No, because a lot of the time, like, despite the fact I think I'm quite an insightful person, that sort of thing, I'm not 100% correct all the time. And a lot of the times, you know, I feel like it's more frustrating to be caught out for something arbitrarily rather than for good reason. So when I play that sort of game, I try to have a good reason. Like, maybe if I'm like suspicious of one of my friends that they're lying just through nothing but the way they're speaking, maybe I'll keep a closer eye on them so I can catch them out of and use like actual evidence against them. But like, I feel like it feels bad if I'm just like, oh, you know, I have a sneaking suspicion you're the imposter, just because of like an intuition I have of the way you speak makes me think you're lying, you know, because if I'm right, that's like a frustrating thing to deal with, because it feels like you got randomly selected and just you lost because from your perspective no good reason. And if I'm wrong and that person, like, for example, wasn't the imposter, well, I just basically went like, hey, you don't get to play the game. And, you know, there's nothing more frustrating than being falsely accused of something you didn't do. So it's just like, you know, I tend not to just randomly accuse people, but I do have strong suspicions, and I feel like I do pick up on when people lie, and like, I just, somehow I intuitively know people's like lying habits, I guess, and I don't really know how that works for my friends, that sort of thing. And I feel like I'm pretty decent as an imposter as well, you know. I'm not like atrocious, but I'm not like godly or anything. I'm just like pretty good, mainly because I tend to speak the same, or I tend to act the same, whether I'm lying or I'm telling the truth, and that's sort of that situation. But yeah, my experience Among Us, I played a lot with friends, and then I basically got to the point where I'm like, I'm only playing this because I want to play with my friends. I don't actually like playing this game anymore. And it's not because Among Us is a bad game, and it's not because, yeah, well, it's not because it's a bad game. And if you like Among Us, that's more power to you. I think it's a cool game, which just doesn't sit with me as it should, you know. It's just not the game for me to play. And eventually it got to the point where we're playing, and then there was at the end, people were just like, hey, you want to go again? And I was like, I'm sorry, I've got to stop. Like, I don't like playing this game anymore. And I'm sure part of it is because I ended up forcing myself to play, because I was like, I want to play with my friends. Oh, also, another big part of it is because you don't get to talk to your friends doing like the entire thing. And a lot of the time, when I want to play games with my friends, I want to do it for social reasons. I want to play a game and have it as a background like activity to do while I talk to my friends about random nonsense, that sort of thing, which is why I tend to favour like much more casual and less intensive games. But with Among Us, like, you don't get to talk to your friends normally, and then it's only during the meetings. But, you know, since there's limited time in meetings, you kind of had to talk about the game. And if you're not talking about if you're just talking about random stuff, then it kind of can ruin the experience for some people. It's like, why am I even playing this game in the first place? But a lot of my friends love playing the game, you know, and more power to them. I don't know when the last time they played it is. They don't seem to play it as much anymore. I guess it's because it's quite hard to get big groups going and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm just like, I don't really want to play it anymore. But the thing is, I feel bad for being like, I don't want to play this thing, or I don't want to do this thing, because inherently, as groups of friends do, you'd be like, oh, you know, X friend doesn't want to play it, let's try and do something, because we all want to, as a benefit of us as a friend group, we all want to include everyone, you know, we all want to have everyone have a good time, and that sort of thing. So it doesn't feel great when you exclude someone, and that's, you know, I suppose one downside, or one lucky one tiny downside I have for having quite a large friend group is there's a lot of us, and it's quite hard to, you know, you can't do every activity with like 12 people all the time. So sometimes you're gonna have to make like, you're only gonna have to do things with some smaller group of friends, and, you know, it doesn't feel great to exclude some people, that sort of thing. But, you know, it's just a balance of friends. You understand with each other. There's a lot of us, so you can't always do everything together all the time. But when you can, you should try to, and that sort of thing. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for just being like, oh, I just can't play this game anymore, because then people are obviously subconsciously just going to be like, okay, let's try and find something that they want to play as well, so maybe they'll play something else, and they may end up skipping out on playing a game that they want to play, i.e. Among Us in this case, which is a shame, because in my mind I'm just like, you should just play it, you can stream and I'll watch it, you know. And there's like other people in our friend group who don't play it as well, but they didn't really play it much to begin with in the first place, so it's not like I don't know, it's a weird situation. I suppose part of me just feels guilty because I haven't played it for ages. I'm like, I hope I wasn't the cause of them not playing Among Us anymore. Because there weren't too many of us playing, I suppose, at that point. So maybe I was just like, the straw that breaks the camel. That broke the camel's back, and it's just like, we don't really have enough players anymore to make it worthwhile. So it's like, I feel kind of bad for that sort of thing. But, you know, you got to rationalise it in your brain. That's kind of irrational. They absolutely know that they can play it anytime they want themselves, and they're not. We're good enough friends that that's not exactly going to happen. But maybe it does, so I don't know. That's just a rational part of your brain. What did I talk about this episode? I have no idea, but it's been half an hour, so... yeah, that's it. I know, reviewers. I don't know what I'm going to title this episode. If you have been watching anyway, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me Dear Darling Discord or follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we can see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.